KidSmart next on City Corner. Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson, and welcome to City Corner. Well, it's back to school season, or it's quickly approaching, and I thought it would be the perfect time of year to learn more about the work of the nonprofit organization KidSmart. And I'm going to read a stat to you. Each year, 90,000 St. Louis area children cannot afford basic school supplies. And so KidSmart addresses this through their mission and their programs, and we're going to learn all about that today. It is my pleasure to be joined by Ellen Kinzora, who is a board member, as well as Mike Smith, the Vice President of Operations for KidSmart. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Really excited.
Thank you. And I know, as I mentioned, this is back to school season. And you just said this is your busiest time of year. But I have read over the years a lot about KidSmart, and I want to start off with some of these stats because you've done tremendous work. 10,000 kids equipped with free school supplies every week as a result of your work. 70% increase in self-esteem for students with access to quality school supplies, and 92 million in school supplies distributed. That's phenomenal in 22 years, in your 22-year history. So that is a great way to start things off. For those who aren't familiar, though, with KidSmart, or they maybe hear the name or see it pop up, maybe, Ellen, if you start things off just to give us the brief background, the origin story.
Sure. Well, we're a nonprofit. We're based here in St. Louis, and we really have a fundamental belief that education can really break the cycle of poverty. And so our mission is to empower children in need to succeed in school by providing them with free essential tools for learning. And the organization was founded by Jennifer Miller. She's our CEO and founder. And she was working in the Rockwood School District here in St. Louis. And at the beginning of the school year, she would always notice that a few of her students didn't have the school supplies because their family couldn't afford it. So she started buying books and school supplies so that they could have the critical tools that they needed to have in the classroom. And then she went to a convention, an education convention, I think in 2000. And they had some tables and programming around teachers being able to go to free stores and get some free school supplies for needy children. Mm-hmm. And so that's where the idea of KidSmart was really born.
Oh my goodness. And that was 20, a little over, it sounds like 22 years ago. And grown so much. So let's talk about the programs and what you're doing on a daily basis.
Sure.
And maybe, I know we've got some drives that we're going to talk about, but Mike, maybe just talk about overall the programming that the organization has.
Sure. So right now, as far as equipping students, we do it a couple different ways. Originally, we had a free store where teachers can come and shop. Right now, our building's under renovation. We purchased the building in 2019, and we're working through that renovation process. So hopefully the free store will open up again. But in the meantime, we've got a couple other programs right now that we are distributing supplies through. So first off, and probably one of our biggest ones is drive-throughs, and I think we're going to get into that a little bit later. Those came through the COVID process, COVID-19 process, and we figured out what's the fastest way we can distribute supplies. Mm-hmm. And like I said, we'll get into that in a little bit. The other way is our On-to-Go program, and that's where we literally box up supplies, classroom sets, and we get to carry those into the classroom and give those to the students inside the classroom. Mm-hmm. That is really one of the more exciting ways that I get to do supplies and get to meet the children and just to see how excited they are, just for pencils or crayons or markers. It's amazing the excitement level that kids get to see to have the tools they need.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've got some photos that, that your team shared, which are great. And I think they really show that. And in a bit, we're going to play a little bit of a video, which I think is quite touching because it really adds to this element that I know, we talk about education a lot. And as you mentioned, and as we talk about equity in education, there's so many areas to tackle, but at the one basic level is how does a student feel in that moment walking into a school, right? So we'll step outside of pedagogy and methodology and all of that stuff for now and making sure that that student feels equipped to be able to learn, that they feel that they're accepted. Talk about this sort of I put it under this category of life skills or soft skills, but what you've seen and the impact for students just from who are receiving on the other end of receiving the school supplies and being equipped with what it is that you're providing.
Sure. You think about if you walk into a classroom or a student walks into the classroom and they have an assignment or they're given schoolwork to do or worksheets to do and you don't have a pencil or you make a mistake and you don't have an eraser to erase it, that kind of, it defeats you right from day one, right? So what we see on average is about a 70 to 75% improvement in self-esteem just because a student has the supplies they need to be successful. They want to learn. They want to do the things they want. It's so exciting to see them, to be able to do their schoolwork, and have those tools to do that. It's touching.
Yeah. How does the program actually work in the sense of from your team and day to day, and where I'm going to bring that in is with teachers, because when I was reviewing all the material and reading it up a lot, you partner with teachers in schools. So if you could just break down how it actually works from sort of your end to the receiving end by the students.
Sure. So, and we get supplies multiple different ways. I think we're going to talk about one of those in a minute. But we believe it's important to bring those tools directly into the classroom and give those teachers. So the average teacher spends about $800 nationally out of their own pocket every year on school supplies for a student. And that's nationally, and that's all schools. That's a national number. Not necessarily the schools that we serve, but sometimes it's even greater than that.
I had not $800.
That's the national average. And you think about on a teacher's salary, I know not to get into that too much, but that's a lot of money that's typically almost a paycheck, and that's pretty common. So, we're there to help those teachers to not feel that burden, and to be able to equip those students and have that excitement level in their classroom. So.
And so you partner with, I'm going to pull up some of, when I was looking at some of the material, I was looking at, and this is again, probably I will note dated for accuracy. This is dated from one of your newsletter reports, annual reports from, I think it was 2017. Sure. But students in 160 high poverty schools within 12 school districts throughout St. Louis City and St. Louis County. So is that still about the number?
Actually, we've grown.
We've grown since and I will say that was from 7.
Yes, so we are actually in 205 schools now here in St. Louis, and that is in 19 different school districts.
Wow. So that's
in the St. Louis City and St. Louis County areas.
Got it. And so you work with the teachers, specifically with directly with the teachers at those schools?
Yeah, they're really kind of our conduit for getting the supplies to the children.
Okay. Well, let's start things off with Push for Pencils. This is coming up. So this is August 1st, so maybe. Do you want to start us off on that,
Sure.
Alan? And both you guys can both kind of tag team on this. I think I wrote down in my notes, is this still the largest back-to-school drive in Missouri?
Yes, I believe it is, yes.
Okay, well, tell us, what is Push for Pencils?
Okay, I'm going to let Mike talk about pencils, and I'll talk about Ballpark Village.
Got it.
Yeah, so we're getting ready to kick off Push. That's our annual supply drive. We partner with over 100 local companies to help employees with collect supplies, and they'll do a drive to bring in pencils and paper and notebooks and things like that, and then they give those to us to pass on to the children. Okay. That's both we call it Push for Pencils and Push for Change, because monetary is really important. On average, we can take and do a 10-time ROI this time of year on every dollar. So for every dollar a person donates, we can buy $10 worth of supplies with some other partners we use.
Okay, and so how does for Push for Pencils / Push for Change, both for school supplies and monetary donations, that runs for the entire month of August. And so is it at different locations, or is it something through your website?
Yeah, sometimes it's just local companies that do that, but we also have community partners. There's drop-off places, like Starbucks is a good one. I think we're going to get a tax-free weekend with Walmart is one. Look After, I'm going to leave somebody out and I'm going to feel really bad. Six Flags is one. Deerbergs, they're going to do a drive for us through registers. So those are all some of our community partners that you can go to and drop off supplies. And you can go to our website, you can see all of those different locations locally where you can drop those off, or start your own company drive within. And we're receiving calls daily. Yeah. People want to start help and join and collect supplies for students.
Too, with your volunteers, that it was something like I love how you've sort of quantified everything. It was like 20 volunteers are needed a day just to get to day-to-day to do your work. How is the volunteer? Are you always looking for volunteers as well?
Oh yeah, we are. And we couldn't do it without the volunteers. We have over 4,000 volunteers annually come.
You have 4,000 volunteers.
Yes,
that's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's heart touching to see people that want to get involved and help. So
and that's on the individual as well as business level and on the board level.
Our board is super involved. They're super passionate about the mission. We go into a lot of the push-ins, the on-the-go schools, and give the supplies out to the children, which is really fun. And we have a lot of corporate partners and corporations that come to our warehouse in Maryland Heights, and they will volunteer, and their whole team comes and they build backpacks and put the supplies inside the backpacks and get them ready for distribution. So it's really amazing because we have so many people come back and they return because they have such a good time. So
That's terrific.
Yeah.
I mean, that is really, I know that's amazing from a community outreach standpoint. I know we have a lot to get into because I want to get into more with On the Go and then obviously talking about the event coming up in August. But we do have a clip, a video clip that I want to share with you. And I think this is put together. You guys have this available, but I think it really will show you more about the mission and the work. We're going to take a look at it now.
It's an opportunity to provide supplies for our children. Parents can't often afford, what's on the list, but, we run out of supplies all the time. So we just appreciate everything that you all have done for our students, our community, and our teachers. We have several families that have multiple siblings, so sometimes they have to share everything. But when we have an opportunity for students to have their own individualized supplies, their own pouches to put their items in, their own notebooks, their own paper, their own set of markers and crayons, it creates ownership.
When I get my new school supplies, I feel excited. Happy! I can write my favorite story. I don't have to share.
The supplies that we get helps the students be more successful this year. They come to my classroom, they don't need pencils, they don't need books, they don't need notebooks. They have it all that I got from KidSmart. Well, today was a perfect example. They just lit up like it was Christmas. I've never seen so much excitement from my students. This is like, well, look, cool, we got pencils. Yeah. But to them, it made a big difference.
That he helps us write and
I think I love the video. It's really touching, and I love the students and their responses. It's great. Yeah, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to put some information on the screen. We have a lot more to cover with KidSmart, but right now I want to give you some information. We've got there empowering children in need to succeed in school by providing free essential tools for learning. You can learn a lot more on their website. It's really comprehensive, and a lot of the information and data that I've been citing is located there. You can also follow them on social media. We've got that information right there. Again, kidsmartstl.org. And then a quick graphic for these upcoming events that we're going to get into. We've covered Push for Pencils, Push for Change, but when we get back, we're going to talk about the tax-free weekend supply drive as well as the back to school distribution day. So don't go anywhere. We're going to have more with KidSmart when we return. Please stay with us.
Did you know that you can watch STL TV on your smartphone or tablet? That's right. STL TV is available on your Android or iOS mobile devices. And that includes our live broadcast channels as well as video on demand content. It is really easy to get started. Just find the App Store on your device, then search for Cablecast. Select it and click to install. Launch the app, and if you're in the St. Louis area, STL TV should be the first channel to show up. If you're not in the area, you may have to scroll down to find it. So just click on the STL TV logo, and in just a few seconds, you're enjoying STL TV's great programming such as City Corner, Inside Sports, City Government, What's the 314, or my personal favorite, In the Kitchen.
Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted.
you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Where's your emergency?
Everyone's on their way. What happened?
Your friend's not breathing.
She's dead? Yes, please get my mom and dad. Oh my God!
Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson, and welcome back to City Corner. Today's program focuses on KidSmart. I'm joined by Ellen Kinzora, who is a board member, as well as Mike Smith, the Vice President of Operations. And again, I'm just so thrilled that you're here to talk about the work that the organization has been doing in St. Louis for over 20 years. Yeah, so thank you. I want to pick back up. We talked about the Push for Pencils drive that runs all throughout August. But on August 9th, you have something that's the Back to School $1 million distribution day. And maybe, Ellen, could you tell us more about that? That's taking place at Ballpark Village.
Absolutely. So our biggest season generally is back to school, even though we equip students with essential tools all year long. But this is kind of the push right back when we're getting back to school. So the $1 million distribution day is down at Ballpark Village, and we basically close down Clark Street right next to the baseball stadium. And all these corporations and different volunteers from the community will come, and we'll have tents everywhere, and they help us load school supplies into teachers' cars. And so there are, I think, 1,000 pre-registered teachers signed up to come this year. To come down Clark Street.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so this is from probably past years.
Yes, it's amazing. It's so much fun.
1,000 teachers. So this is all, and wow. So well, let me let you finish because I want to ask you a question, but go ahead.
And then they basically take those supplies back into their classroom directly. So it has a huge impact. And it's an easy way for us to distribute a lot of supplies very quickly.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing. And those photos are great. So the car's really just the teachers line up, and then everyone.
It's like that all day.
So I know this is like, as you said, pre-registered by invitation. So do people register in the previous school year, or are you still allowing teachers or schools to register, or is that kind of closed down at this point?
I believe.
So there's some openings, and we do. It is pre-registered for schools that qualify for our services. So it's any school that has a 70% or higher free or reduced meal rate, and that's the 205 schools I think I mentioned earlier. So those teachers are aware of that, and they it has become. This is I think our 4th year doing it, and it gets filled up pretty quickly because it's a pretty big deal. It's right before school starts, so those teachers want those supplies day one.
Wow.
It's pretty exciting time for that.
No, well, it's good to know too. As you continue to grow too. I mean, you already partner with so many schools and teachers, and as you're saying, and I understand what you mean. This is like the day, the big day to celebrate and to get all the efforts, and then obviously get the school supplies. But for any other schools, that they can look into it for next year and that process. That's really interesting. And so you said this has been going on for 4 years. So was there the idea? Was it just before? How did this idea come up? Was it just a combination of board and staff?
Well, it kind of started during COVID. There's a need in the classroom. So we learned. The students with the hybrid, they're going to learning how to school. We knew they needed school supplies in their homes, so the teachers were asking us, hey, we need supplies to get to these students, and that's kind of where it came from. So we kind of learned, and the process was, how do we get supplies to the student during this period where there's, limited contact and so on. So when we first started, literally teachers would come up, the windows would be rolled up, and we were all in masks and things like that. If you remember back a few years ago, try to forget that, but and we would just have the teachers pop their trunks and we'd get the supplies. And then those teachers would then take it out to drop off on the porches or some kind of, homeless shelters, wherever they might need to be, they got those supplies. So then during that process, we learned that this is a really fast and efficient way to get as many supplies as we can into the classroom. And it's just kind of rolled out, and now, it's become one of our normal distribution methods. So
that's great.
And now the teachers, they get really excited and they decorate their cars, with the paint, and it's really fun. We get to know, I saw someone in the drive-thru last year when we were down there, and I knew her. So it's so fun, just seeing everybody, and they're so excited to come. So
yeah, no, that's great. And it's always nice to see, I think with nonprofits, with the work that you're doing, in the programming, when you see it in action, these big events, it all kind of has that moment, the crescendo of like, hey, it's all coming together, and you see how it works. Speaking of sort of on the delivery, I want to go back to, and we have this photo, there's this truck and it says on the go, and you alluded to it in the first segment, but I want to make sure we really sort of covers. So how does the on-the-go truck work then outside of, we're talking right now, focusing a lot on back to school, but how does that work throughout the school year?
Sure. So a few years back, we learned not every teacher was able to come out and visit, come to the free store or come out to a distribution thing. So ensure that all the students had the supplies they needed in the classroom. We started the on-the-go process. So that's where we get to deliver supplies directly into every classroom in St. Louis at some point throughout the school year. And so those schools that did not, or the teachers that did not make it out to the distribution at the beginning of the year, we can identify those for whatever reason and then go back in and deliver directly into those classrooms to ensure that all 90,000 students get supplies.
Got it. Yeah. So that's for the truck. And then I was looking too, you have something called Crafts with Conviction. What's that?
Sure, that's a really cool program. So we partner with the Missouri Department of Corrections, and those inmates help us make supplies for the classroom. We give them raw materials. They then in turn make learning tools or activities that we can give back to the teachers to put into the classroom. So it's really kind of a cool program. It gives a chance for those individuals to give back, and it takes a burden off the teachers as well, things that they would have to create on their own.
Yeah.
So.
It's so interesting. No, I mean, the work that you're doing in your team, I mean, it's like so well put together. It seems so, efficient and everything, the way that it's running. But I know you could always use, as you say, in the nonprofit world, more people, more involved. So, I mean, are you looking to have, to grow from a staffing size or just volunteers or board members? I mean, for anyone listening to this who might say, I would love to get involved, what are kind of the more immediate ways that they can get involved, whether it's on the employment side or even, on the board or committee side or volunteer? Is it really volunteers?
I mentioned earlier we have 4,000 volunteers, but we're always looking for additional help. Donations are always great.
Yes.
We can turn that in. That's a very important part of running a business, any business or an organization. We can turn those dollars, I think you mentioned 10 times for. But also, one thing I'll mention too, we're about to, as our board a few years back, adopted a plan to grow throughout the entire state. So by the year 2032, we have committed to equip all 300,000 students in the state of Missouri.
Really?
Yes, with school supplies. And you'll see our first pilots running this year, thanks to Ameren, Missouri. We're going to be in central Missouri here this year for the first time piloting the distribution for back to school. So more to come on that. So that's pretty exciting.
That's incredible. So kind of taking the model that you've already been doing in the St. Louis metropolitan region and sort of adjusting and duplicating, but adjusting that to central Missouri and then moving onward to the entire state. That's incredible.
Thank you.
We're excited.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, how has it been on, I always say with board members on that personal level to feel, how has it been for you as a board member where you want to, naturally when you're involved in a board to feel good about the work that you're doing, clearly you do, but how's that been for you in terms of just the experience so far?
I have loved being involved with KidSmart. I actually got involved through working at a Fortune 500 company here in St. Louis. And I was on a strategy team, and there was an opportunity to come and volunteer and give some information about the economics and how that just impacts corporate giving, which affects nonprofits. Then I just kept staying involved and got to know the team really well over the course of 2 years. And then Jennifer said, we'd love to have you come onto the board and be more involved. And it's been amazing. I go to as many push-ins, when we do the on-the-go into the classrooms, I go to as many of those as possible. And I'm an entrepreneur now, so I have more time and flexibility to be able to go participate in those engaging events. And so we are always trying, before earlier you said, are we looking for board members or committee members? We're always looking for people who are super passionate about our mission and what we're trying to do. So if you're interested and out there, we would love to have, contact us through the website. Or let us know. But yeah, it's really impactful. And we also have, when we go into the schools, we love to bring people. So if anyone's ever interested in just coming into the school, we always bring people in so they can actually see the impact. That's an amazing experience to watch the kids open up their backpacks and reach out to us. We're happy to have anyone. Yeah.
No, well, that's a great segue to the other clip that I want to show because it really shows exactly what you're talking about. So we're going to take a look at one more clip here for you about the work that KidSmart does. Take a look.
When I get my new school supplies, I feel grateful. I can do my math. I can color pretty pictures.
My favorite school supply is going to be pencils,
Crayons,
markers,
yearbooks.
I'll probably donate to this school. Give it to charity. donate a lot of it to children.
Help the world with that. KidSmart provides the tools I need to prepare for college. Study for exams. Thank you for allowing us to dream big. Thank you for allowing us to dream big. Thank you for allowing us to dream big. Thank you for allowing us to dream big.
Oh, that's really great because, as you said, I mean, I think it really shows you for the students on the receiving end. And Mike, I know you're a lot of times there when this happens.
Yeah.
It's got to have been so worthwhile for you all.
Yeah, it's always energizing. You know, you work, and then I'm like, I got to get into a school because it just completely re-energizes you.
Yeah.
And you know, the passion builds back up. So it's
It
pretty
does.
awesome.
I can imagine because as we interact with each other and we see that we're all together, like in this, you know. And I think when you are with the students, you probably feel it feel it more. Before you go, we've got like 30 seconds, but I want to make sure we're going to throw up the graphic too for the August 2nd and 3rd, the tax-free weekend supply drive. Is there anything you want to add more?
Sure.
About that
No, thank you, Walmart. We've been out in front of the Walmart stores that tax-free weekend for the state of Missouri collecting supplies. We'll have teachers and other volunteers out there in front of 18 local Walmart stores that weekend. And collecting supplies, and it is a big part of those supplies. Those are the ones we get back into the school. Some of the deliveries you saw on film there, those are the supplies that make it back into the classroom. So come out during that weekend and purchase supplies and donate them there. And we collect, Heartland Coca-Cola helps us and collects them and brings them back to our facility so we can redistribute those to the classroom.
Great, thank you, and that was great, perfect timing. Thank you for thank you for stating that. I wanted to be sure that we covered. I really appreciate you both being here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to put that information for you on the screen so you can check it out again. There we go. So August 1st to the 31st, we talked about that. That's Push for Pencils. August 2nd and 3rd, as Mike just alluded to, is the tax-free weekend supply drive at 18 Walmart locations in the St. Louis area. And then August 9th is what Ellen was talking about, the Back to School 1 Million Distribution Day. Amazing sort of photo op right there. But all of the information for what we couldn't cover in today's show is on the website. So head to kidsmartstl.org. And again, you can follow them on social media doing really exceptional work. I mean, I just am so thankful for you being here today, especially your busy time, and for us to be able to open up and share more about the work that you've been doing all these years. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you at home for watching, and keep it right here at STL TV. Experience St. Louis.